And that's us live. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Really good. How are you?
Great. I got my summer colors on.
I was going to say, you're looking very Miami.
Yeah, I haven't shaved for a few days.
They're like the thick rim glasses. You look like you should be much older and sitting by a pool somewhere in
in Palm Springs.
In Palm Springs, or yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, long weekend coming up.
Yeah. Any plans?
Santa?
Getting caught up. I've been just back in town. Been traveling a little bit back and forth to Vancouver, dodging forest fires and such. So back in town. I'm going to spend the weekend watering my lawn.
Oh, nice. Okay.
You get the color back. Not only here, but in my lawn. Get chill.
Right.
Cool. How about you, Michael?
I'm going to try to go for a hike with the kids, get them out and maybe on towards the end of the long weekend where it cools off a little bit. I think that try to get them out there and just get them moving. But we also have yard projects. So we've got a patio that we're 80% finished putting down. And so we'll get that done. We'll, I don't know, mow what grass is growing on my yard and just do some general tidying. Yeah, it's about that time. So
yeah, it's good.
You?
Well, I will be on starting Sunday. I'll be spending 2 days in the backcountry of Kananaskis with Claire and two of our kids and some cousins, and we're going to paddle across the lake to the campground on paddle boards, which will be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're off to Kelowna and the Shuswap. Shuswap will have 4 days on a houseboat for the first time. I've never been on a houseboat, so should be good with 3 other families. Anyways, it'll be fun.
Well, you'll be
feel like you're going to be pulling up on Nielsen Beach there and raging.
Geez, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think
I'm sure that
it was still a thing 7-8 years ago. The last time I went houseboating, but.
I feel like it'll be like an episode of Old School. Sorry, remember the movie Old School? You know, where
wasn't there another one like Adam Sandler? There was one with Adam Sandler about
probably.
I missed
called Grown Ups.
Oh, and there you go. Yeah. That's how it's gonna go. But
a bunch of grown-ups renting a beach, something, or a cabin. And partying like they're in high school. So I hope that goes well for you.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I obviously missed all of that because I'm not attuned to any of that. As well as I'm reminded, all the parties in my backyard that apparently were epic.
There were a couple of good ones. I need to restate that was not me and it was our sister.
Oh yeah.
The best ones were Asia's. So
yeah. Okay. Anyway, on to real estate.
On to our sort of agenda for today. So we wanted to just touch on the daily housing stats really quick, and so I'll bring up what we have or what's presented from the Calgary Real Estate Board. Give me 1 second to share my screen. I think I was having a look through it just before in advance of this call. I think the things that stand out to me for sure are the total number of sales in August are down considerably. I mean, we're in August the 2nd, but year to date. July, the sales were down, listings were up. But I think the one thing that I see and I feel out in the market as well is that the number of listings that are out there right now are up considerably. And the number of total listings are up pretty considerably as well. So I think that bears out what I think we've all sort of felt in the last couple of weeks is that the sales are slowing just a little bit and that the number of listings that are out there to view are much better, or there are certainly more. The other thing that I did note is that the days on market in general, I think for the year to date, just down here and here, the days on the market have come down. And the thing that points to for me is that not that the deals are happening that much faster, but I think that as agents, we've all sort of figured out what sort of stuff we need to do to make sure the deals get accepted and to go forward, which is in a lot of cases, either writing unconditional if you can, or tightening up the condition periods as much as possible to make sure that your offer, when presented with multiple offers, is considered in the best light. So I don't know if there's anything else that anyone took out generally from the stats, or any general sentiments that anyone else sort of has.
Just some of my comments. I do feel like that first half of this year to now, there's been a bit of a shift, and things, the frenzy has dissipated for a lot of price points in a lot of housing forms. There's still a frenzy at most things under 600,000, like into the detached homes.
Yeah.
But it's become a more rational market, which means that if you're listing your house, you can't get over your skis. You can't be shooting for the moon, in my opinion. The efficiency and the quick sales are still there, but you've got to be positioning it a little bit more accurately, I think. I don't know. It's Sano, Mike. Any comments?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that there has been a correction in the market. There are a couple of things I'm trying to understand, what the causes could be, that what the source of that would be. And, I think I would point to blanket rezoning. I think, there was a kind of a flurry of activity, trying to capture these lots, corner lots where the opportunities were in redevelopments. And that was driving up the price. Like a typical lot in a neighborhood like Mount Pleasant or Killarney was $750. Whereas if it was a corner lot, it would go for like close to $1 million, $980. We saw that.
Yep.
So there was that flurry of activity, and they'd be gone, they'd be snapped up right away. That, because of the blanket rezoning now, oddly has changed, because, well, not oddly, because it almost you would almost expect that, because now if you can rezone every lot and put 8 units on there, and it doesn't have to be a corner lot, well, I guess everything is available. So it has kind of taken the wind out of the sails of those corner lots a little bit. And I'm seeing that, that's evidenced in the market. Also the interest rates, I think the interest rates are going to be coming down faster than we even anticipated. That's my call. I think we're going to get a quarter point drop almost, every notice, every time they come out. I'm not sure. They come out quarterly. I think
they announce it quarterly, I believe.
Announce them quarterly. So I think it's going to be like a point a year. So people are incentivized to wait, and that's the other thing that's changed. And plus, really, the fact is that there just is a lot less disposable income. So I take your point, Michael, that the markets that are still active are the lower price markets, and there's still the high priced luxury market is healthy, I guess, but it's more selective, I would say. That's what I'm saying. But for sure, whenever this happens, what I think about is that you feel it, like we feel it in the number of calls, number of showings. You see it, and you're always second guessing yourself. And so, because between agent to agent and so on, it's like, how are things going? Everyone's like, oh, great. It's a typical, pretty good. But you don't always get an honest answer. So you have to really get to trust your intuition on these matters. And when you see it come down like that, really start to pay attention to it, which we have. But, you're a little bit, I guess, measured in your response when you.
Yeah, everyone wants to always tell their colleagues or present that they are busier than they ever have been.
That they're driving a McLaren.
Yeah. But I guess that when you are able to have more frank discussions with your colleagues, that's when you get, I think, to some of the brass tacks about what's happening in the market. And so there's always the small samples that are in fact run off their feet and they've just had a flurry of activity, and you can't. That's why you have to talk to as many people as you can in the industry to really stay in tune. I guess that's, we're fortunate to be at a brokerage where, even though it's virtual, we have still pretty regular get-togethers, and we do find ways to connect and meet up. So,
and more honest conversations with your clients as well, which I would say we almost always do. Well, always do.
Yeah.
So, I think we can be pretty frank about it, or the state of the market, without having to try and buy listings, which, happens.
Yeah. Sano, I don't mean to bring it back. Just briefly, you touched on the kind of the effect of the upzoning. I agree with you 100%. Like in the run up to the vote, the prices were just going like this. Like you use the Mount Pleasant lots as examples. I mean, those are lots that a year ago were selling for $750.
Exactly.
They were selling for $985, $950 like this spring. Like it was just kind of, I would call it a little bit irrational, because now I don't think that would be the case. Like, I think it'd be kind of in the middle, but yeah.
And case in point, I met, a nice old client of ours, presented on it. Beautiful corner lot, beautiful location, Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
My recommendation was, 890, 875, 890, and it would be bid up to 980, whatever, depending. Someone bought that listing at $1,090,000.
Oh wow!
And
wow!
Listed at $1,090,000, and it's still sitting there after maybe a couple of months now. So. Yeah. Now I think that would have sold at 980. So, I mean, you always have to have those honest conversations. And I wouldn't change it, but
yeah.
It's unfortunate that other agents still, buy these, and it hasn't served the client well. They, who knows now where that's going to land.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, good point. And I just like on that blanket rezoning thing, we're now battling in anticipation of that. We have two applications. Well, an application for two infills across the street from me. I live in Briar Hill on 12th Avenue, an R1 community. So already, they haven't even adopted it, but already we're seeing applications in anticipation of that for infills are unprecedented in Briar Hill.
Yeah.
So I'll be writing some letters this weekend as well.
Right. The other thing we wanted to touch on, I guess one is just a nod to our anniversary with Real Broker. We're coming up on 3 years before.
Yeah.
It was, I think, August 3 years ago that we did that we signed up officially, and it was a little longer than that before we actually were up and running. But we're 3 years now with not so new brokerage anymore. Seeing the developments that they've had and rolled out more internally than externally have been interesting. And I think don't want to belabor it too much, but I think the thing that works for us is that it does allow us to be a little more untethered and get out and be pressing palms and belly to belly, as I think the old heads might suggest where you need to be.
Yeah. I think it's been pretty amazing, the growth of Real Broker. It's it's the number one growing a virtual brokerage, publicly traded brokerage in North America. It's in the 3 years since we got behind it in Canada. We kind of launched the first Real Broker in Canada. it has grown from us, like 5 or 6 or 7 of us originally, to we're like over 850 now in Alberta.
Yep.
So it's been pretty phenomenal
pretty
growth.
impressive.
And we've been selling real estate. We haven't been out selling the brokerage, just to say, as many people have. But I think we're kind of proud of that growth, and it does help us do our business better. Because the principle behind Real Brokerage is simply to help the agent do their business better, to provide them the tools and the technology to do their business better, rather than sell franchises, do all the other stuff that all these brokerages do often, or that they often focus or dilute their energy on. So it's been a breath of fresh air for us, because they're just always, hey, we got these new tools, we got AI helping us, with our conveyancing. We can deposit checks virtually, take a picture of it. It's just a huge time saver, and allows us to spend more time with our clients and doing what we should be doing.
Yeah, which
Great.
brings us to our next topic pretty naturally, is if you are a seller and you have maybe one of us going through your home as a buyer's agent, I've seen a bit of chatter in the last little while about buyer's agents going through and the number of things that can go wrong or are perceived to go wrong during that showing. And I thought it would be convenient for us to talk about what a seller's expectations might be of buyers and their agents when they're coming through their home, because it is really, they are really coming into a very private space, and you are opening up and exposing yourself and your whole life to, for an open house, it's anybody really, but during the time of your listing, it's anyone with an agent or anyone who decides they want to come in and book a showing.
Yep.
You're in a sense bearing your soul, and it can feel pretty intimate, and things can go wrong sometimes. So Michael, what do you think some reasonable expectations of a seller might have of a buyer's agent when they are scheduling a showing and coming through the home?
Good questions. Okay, so I think the expectation that most sellers have. So let's, I guess we got to focus on, okay, what marks are we talking about? Let's assume it's like, a detached home. Yep. That's whatever. Even if it's semi-detached. First off, take off your shoes. We're not barbaric Americans. I'm just joking, all of my American friends. But it's amazing actually. Like, in Canada, for the most part, we take off our shoes when we go into someone's house. That's not the case actually in the US sometimes. But that's as a rule, regardless of whether there's a sign to asking you to take off your shoes, take off your shoes. Now, there are situations where you might deviate from that rule, where the state of the house is just absolutely atrocious, like where you're gonna get your socks dirty stepping on the floors, because there's just debris and and that happens. But yes, take off your shoes. Make sure that you don't touch personal things. You don't check out. You're not snooping around drawers and closets and stuff. You're viewing the home. You're viewing the construction of the home.
Are there exceptions to that, Michael? I'm just a little segue. Like, are there exceptions to that? Like maybe in the kitchen? Would it be?
Yeah. Oh, I think absolutely. Like, take a.
Wives
you got to open up cabinet drawers. I don't know, like a cabinet to for sure open up is under the sink to see if there's water damage.
Yeah.
So that's that should be an expectation that will occur, and that's normal. Checking out en suites and walk-in closets is completely normal. Things like this. But there's, I think it's just like common sense. I don't know. Like, I think
we would like to think so. Yeah,
no, I know you're right. So kind of go further, Michael.
Well, I think one thing for sure is timeliness, and showing for a buyer's agent, things can always go wrong, and your tour can get thrown sideways.
Yeah.
But definitely you want to show up, if you book a 45-minute or an hour-long window, show up within that window and be done within that time frame, because I can't tell you the number of times that a seller just last Tuesday, as I pulled out of the driveway, the seller pulled in. It was a choreographed dance, but we left, we got out of there right on time, but the seller was either waiting down the street or literally coming home. And as soon as I backed out, they pulled straight into the garage.
Yeah.
So, be as on time as you possibly can be. And if you are late, definitely call and make sure that it's still okay to go through, because there are a number of instances where certainly even on a vacant property, you're given a specific time, and vacant or not, just because you have an appointment or had an appointment doesn't give you carte blanche to enter the home and whenever you feel like it. Certainly booking a showing too, again, with vacant properties, agents sometimes will take liberties and just be like, oh, I saw it was vacant, I just popped in, 100% not okay. You cannot do that. I think,
Is
it's a fine line, but that's kind of pretty close to a break and enter.
Yeah. Is it good practice to notify the seller or send a text saying we're done, we're finished? You think I get the sense, oftentimes, especially with families, when they have kids, they're taking their kids to the park for half an hour so they can accommodate a showing, and they're waiting for the showing to be finished.
Yeah.
You think that's good practice to?
Yeah, I think so. And I know that in the app that we use to book showings, there is that functionality to say, hey, seller, we're done. Please go ahead and return home if you were waiting. Which is not a courtesy that every buyer's agent extends, but I think you should, for sure.
Yeah. Where you can, for sure. And it leads into, I think, additional things that I think sellers should expect is, and I think so many agents, and including ourselves, have deviated from, especially when we're busy, is leaving feedback on showings. I think it's just really helpful to the sellers, and just to the industry as a whole, to leave feedback, to provide feedback, pros and cons, so that maybe the sellers it's something that they can control, they can improve, they can remediate, or whatever, if it's a problem, or they get a sense of, okay, what part of the house is really, really nice, that's resonating with people. So anyways, any comments, guys?
Well, I'll just add to that the legal position on that has been, the pushback. I'll say a counter argument to that is that, the buyers represent only the buyers, and they don't represent the sellers. So they're fiduciaries, not for the sellers. So they, the pushback in, at least at RECA, for example, is that you have no obligation to provide feedback. You're not, but you're right. It's a professional courtesy to the industry, because it helps the industry as a whole. And often it should be constructive feedback. It shouldn't be, usually when I get one that says, oh, the price is too high, usually I think, well, maybe they're interested. Then, that's the saying is that, the negotiation starts at the showing. That's how it usually happens. So as long as it's constructive feedback, oh, it was great. We found the walk-in closet was a bit dirty or untidy or something like that, or the windows were dirty. If it's constructive, that's helpful. But there's no obligation in the legally to provide it, because they don't represent them. So that's the counter.
I think I find when it's a property that buyer's not going to proceed with or have any interest in, I'll be more forthcoming with the feedback. But if it's something that we might be writing an offer on or considering, the note is, yes, we have interest, and that's, or even, call us if you get an offer, we're talking about it. But as you say, that it's, you don't want to give away your hand if you can help it. So if it's something you're going to be pursuing, you play those cards a little closer to your chest.
Yeah.
Yes, that is you're 100% right. That is how I operate as well. Yeah, yeah. You don't want to divulge much info on your buyer's intentions.
I think the last thing I was going to touch on is certainly once you're done, making sure that the property is secured and locked up is another expectation that sellers should absolutely have of a buyer's agent. Although I think there's a pretty common experience for an agent is getting home and finding an orphan key in your pocket. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh man.
oh God, like which house do I have to go back to right now to make sure that I return the key? Because you were in a bit of a rush leaving and you forgot to return the key to the lockbox.
Yeah.
That's like a panic inducing.
Yes.
Yeah. The personal note, I've always made it on to your point, Michael, I've always made it a practice to leave the key in the door so that when you're leaving, you know, the key is there, you see it, you don't forget it in your suit pocket,
Mm-hmm.
You know, or whatever. It's just like a habit that I've come to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Yeah. I have been that guy. I think once where I walked away from a house and yes, it was absolutely panic inducing. And I've been on the other side of that where I'm the next agent showing the property and we arrive at
no
the
key.
property and there's no key.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
So then that other agent is, you know, you're tracking them down through the listing agents, and anyways, it creates a bit of a cascade effect of problems.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just want to bring one point up that comes to mind, and that is for sellers. You know, when you've gone through, like you might be going through your documents, you're in the process of selling your house. You might have just had just listed it. You might have your documents out, or you might have your divorce papers out, or you might have your whatever personal documents out, spread out, trying to sort out your decision. Please put them away, because it's not that people are wanting to see that, but if it's spread out on the table, you can't help sometimes, but disclose information that you shouldn't be. So put that stuff away. Make sure that you don't have any personal documents laying on your desk or on the that people are just going through the house. If they see something like that,
yeah,
they can't help but obtain that information that they probably shouldn't, and it's not going to help your hand.
Yeah.
Which just goes back to staging and depersonalizing and tidying and putting things where they belong, which is the first step, really. But yeah. Okay. Well, if anybody else out there, any agents that maybe tune in or sellers that have had this experience, if you want to chime in with what expectation you had that you felt was reasonable and wasn't met, or if maybe you came to find out there was an expectation that you had that was in hindsight completely unreasonable, please feel free to leave a comment. I think I'd be interested to find out what maybe what we didn't cover, or where where a spotlight was shined on a blind spot.
Yeah,
sure.
That's great.
I think that's about it. That's everything we had that we wanted to talk about. I don't know if Michael or Dad, you have something else you wanted to raise?
I don't know. Any personal projects you guys are working on over the weekend or the coming week?
We're finishing off a little patio in our front yard. We just where we had a garden, we are putting in a little patio so we can enjoy the, maybe not right now, but the late day sun.
Yeah,
it's a little
nice.
In the front yard?
Yeah, in the front yard.
Oh, good.
So gonna finish that off. It's been stalled out at about 80% completed for the last 2 weeks. So get that finished, and then just I think try to take the boys down and get them into dip their toes in the Bow River or something, or get them wet somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I have I'm screening I have a courtyard in my backyard, and I'm screening it in. It's kind of an automatic screen, so I'll be able to sit out there with in the absence of mosquitoes and hornets and wasps and all the other things that come out about this time of year.
Right.
Yeah, just screen the whole courtyard in, which will be great. I have a little fireplace out there, so I'm looking forward to that. That's coming up this week.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, Michael, how about you?
Well, I mean, earlier this year, one of my projects was planting clover on my front lawn. And,
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's been fantastic. And
wow.
the only, yeah, like it, and so it germinated really well. I mean, this was before the water main break.
It was quite wet too, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, it was wet. It was raining, and I was able to kind of water it. You know, this is like in like mid-May or something like that. Anyways, it really germinated, and it's taken over a lot of the lawn. Like it, you know, kind of represents now like 30% of the lawn, and it's great. Now, you know, obviously with the dry weather, I cut it a little bit too short, so I should have left it longer. You know, as the kind of the hotter temperatures came around, but nonetheless, you know, for next year, I'll make sure I don't cut it down too low. But it really, you know, it helps with, you know, having a green kind of lush lawn. It's great. Anyways,
You just overseeded that?
well, I use clover seed, you know, so yeah, you know, in some spots for sure, we really hammered it with seeds. We got at like Home Depot or Lowe's or Rona, you know, it's like probably use $150 worth of seeds, you know, for the lawn. And the trick is you got to put soil down, so like a 1/4 inch of soil down on the lawn, and that is really helps it take. So
does it
anyways,
flower? Like I'm curious about that. Do you get flowers?
It does, yeah. It's super bee friendly. It flowers, tons of little white flowers. Yeah,
And it looks good.
yeah. So that's a project.
Cool.
I got lots of others, but we'll move on.
I'm gonna have to drive by and see it.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been threatening my wife that we're going to do that for years now. I haven't done it, but I think I'm going to Andy Dufresne that and just walk around with some clover seed in my pockets.
There you go. Good idea.
Okay.
Well, have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah. Happy long weekend, everyone. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care, guys. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.